Welcome to the Fall Fringe earring tutorial by Bead, September's inspiration project. Today we're going to be learning how to do fringe off of an element like these lotus links right here. You can apply this technique to any kind of metal link, but this is what we've chosen to work with today. Here are all the supplies you're going to need to complete this project. So the first thing is you're going to need a bead mat to work on. The next thing is you'll need a pair of links. You can use circles, triangles. We're using lotus links here and they are available in our shop. You'll also need size 11 needles and some scissors. You'll also need some daggers. I've used here these 16mm check daggers. I'm also using 24 karat gold plated Mayuki size 11 seed beads. This is completely optional. I just like using the 24 karat gold because they're the extra shine and durability. You also need two other colors of size 11 beads, and you'll need some thread. My favorite thread is 1G by Toho, but any thread will do. And I'm also using 4mm Preciosa Bicones for this project. So first things first is you'll need to cut yourself a length of thread. I cut around 1.5 meters. That's usually good for both sides of the earrings, but if that's too much, you can work with a smaller piece of thread. So once you've got your desired length, just give it a snip and thread your needle. Now, to get the fringe started off of an element, you need to start with a knot. So we're going to be doing the fringe off of the center triangle on the bottom of the lotus. So as you see here, I'm just going to be doing 2 double knots to make sure it's nice and secure. Once you made your double knot, make sure that's nice and tight. Give it a tug, make sure it's not going anywhere. And the first thing we're going to do is pick up 2 beads from the color of the top of our fringe. So in this case, I'm going to be choosing this dark amethyst here. So in order to get started, you're going to pick up the 2 beads and then you're going to thread the needle through that little triangle towards you, making sure to pull nice and snug. And you're going to want to make sure that your beads don't go through the hole, just thread. And you'll see here, you'll have your beads kind of laying like this right beside your element. And what you're going to do next is you're going to go back through the very last bead in the same direction that the thread is coming out. So if you see here, I'm going down, I'm going the opposite side that the thread is coming out, and I'm giving it a tug. And it should look like this. The 2 beads are sitting flush against the element. The opening of each bead is sitting adjacent to the piece of metal. You're going to continue this process 3 more times because we're going to be doing 5 fringes, but this time you're only going to do 1 bead at a time. So again, pick up your bead, bring your needle through the element from the back towards you. Don't let the bead go through. And then once you pull that tight, pass through the bead in the same direction that your working thread is coming out. And then what this does is it secures the beads to the element and it gives you like a spine or a base for you to work from to build your fringe. Once you've gotten all your beads on there should be 5, 2 on either side and 1 in the center. You're going to start building your fringe. So the pattern is completely up to you, but what I've decided to do is 10 beads of each color, and I do 6 what I call blender beads in between both colors, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to pick up 10 of the dark amethyst beads. And then I'm going to pick up one of the burgundy beads, one of the amethyst beads, one of the burgundy, one of the amethyst, one of the burgundy, one of the amethyst. So I do alternating for 6, so 3 and 3. And what I like about that is that it kind of creates a blend. And then after that, I'm going to pick up 10 of the burgundy beads. And then I'm going to create that same blend with the 24 karat gold and the burgundy beads. So alternating for 6 beads. And then after that, I'm going to add 10 24 karat gold beads onto my needle. And here I'm just counting just to make sure I have the right number of beads. So that's what your fringe should look like. Now is the fun part. We're going to add the bicones and the daggers. So the first thing you want to do is add a bicone. So thread that onto your needle. And then you're going to add 3 gold beads, 1 dagger, and then 3 more gold beads. So the dagger and the 6 gold beads at the end are going to be the accent at the bottom of our fringe. And so that means that we're going to leave the dagger and those 3 beads on either side out. So you see here, I'm going to push the dagger and the gold beads away, and I'm going to go back up the fringe starting with the bicone. And as you're going up the fringe, if you're using a shorter needle like me, you might have to come out halfway through and then continue. And then when you go up, you want to go right back up that initial bead that we put on as the spine. So you can see here, that's what my fringe looks like with the accent with the dagger at the bottom. And so what you're going to do to start your next fringe is you're actually going to go down the next bead. So the neighboring bead, you want to go down, and from there, it locks in your first fringe and you can start your second fringe. Now for the second fringe and the third fringe, I'm increasing by 2 each time. So for the first fringe, it's 10 amethyst, 10 burgundy, 10 gold. The next one will be 12, 12, 12, and then the middle fringe will be 14, 14, and 14. Again, totally up to you. These might be a little bit long for some people, so you can totally adjust the length, but this is just the length that I created. And don't forget to add your blender beads. Now that the fringe is almost done and I'm working on my very last fringe here, I'm just going to go up, starting with the bicone, all the way up through the very first bead that is part of our spine. And then I'm going to show you how I end my fringes. So I don't actually use any knots when I end my fringe. I like using tension, and I find that it looks a lot neater and a lot nicer so that you don't have any knots kind of hanging out, and it's a nice way to hide where you've ended your piece. So I'm going to snip that tail from the knot at the very beginning just so I can see what I'm doing. Let me zoom in here so you can have a look. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my needle and I'm going to be weaving in and out through the beads that are our spine. So those original beads that we put on. So you can see here, my needle and thread is coming out of the far left bead. Now I'm going down the neighboring bead. And remember, you always want to go the opposite direction that your thread is coming out of. So for example, if your thread is coming out the top of a bead, you don't want to go up the next bead. You want to go down so that the thread doesn't get tangled. So you see here, I'm just going up and down, up and down. And then what I'm going to do here is I've picked the two beads, so the middle bead and the second last bead, and I'm actually going to just be going around. Imagine like going around in a circle with your thread. And I go around 2, maybe 3 times. And you want to check your tension on your very last fringe. And if the tension is good, then you're ready to snip it off. And there you go, you've finished your fall-inspired lotus fringe. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more tutorials.